few things happened today. I was at the field flying my Habu, and I managed to, for the second time, rip the entire front gear off. All that's left is the trailing servo wire, and of course the nose came off for the 30th time too. So we'll get to that eventually. Not today, not at this moment. I've got a different plan for tonight. That plan is for this. I want to get my Comet fixed up, because tomorrow my friend is going to bring his back in the morning so he can re-maiden it. He didn't have great luck with it the first time he tried to fly it. Well, we think it was that the gyro was not configured properly, so he's got it glued back together, and he's gonna bring it back hopefully for a better attempt this time. I need my radio. All right, I grabbed my radio and a LiPo for testing, and I'll show you what's wrong with it. I had an accident about a week ago while I was flying. I was flying out maybe a little too late in the day, and it got kind of dark. I had a hard time determining which side was facing me, and I thought I was pulling up and I wasn't, and it just got too slow and kind of dropped out of the air quite forcefully. I thought it hit the nose. I did blow up one of the props. I've got props to replace it. I do need to check that the motor's okay. It seems fine, but right here is the problem. You can see right here, we've got a crack in the wing itself. And I got to check here to make sure that that's all sturdy as well. And this servo is also not working. I've already replaced these once, and it's tough getting these out without destroying the top. You can see there's kind of a cut there because of prying it out the first time. So we got to try to get this out without destroying the wing, and then we got to fix the wing right there. Let's go up to the loft where I keep a lot of my extra gear. See, I've got some old planes here. This guy I got for free from the club. Somebody just left it there, and figure if I can get this at least in the air, if it crashes, it'd be spectacular and fun, and I'd have had, you know, some fun putting it back together. Here, this is kind of my boneyard. It's pieces left from my V1200, and you can see two carcasses from turbo timbers right there and right there, and some wings for the turbo timber. These are perfectly good. This is just a float set for the gas plane I got. We've got a body for an Alpha. Those are gyrocopters, though I can't find the blades for them, so they may just be useless at this point. Got a couple of kit planes here. This is another kit, but way simpler. There's an ARF and a few other things here. But what we're interested in is this container right here. There's my servo extensions. There's a 9-gram servo, ESC, and here we go. This is, I think there's like 10 Metal Gear 9-gram servos in here, and I get them on Amazon for like $20, $22. This is the last one left of a bag that I've been working through, so we're gonna grab that. So there's my prop drawer, my second prop drawer with a reaming tool. This has some RID modules that I bought from Spectrum. and like a prop balancer and some other stuff in there. And then here's some more just pieces. There's some weights. I had a guy tell me today that these are just the same weights that they use in balancing car tires. Some random motors and ESCs, some FPV gear. There's some antennas for FPV analog, little wheels, so kind of like a hodgepodge of small stuff there. But we got what we want. Let's go downstairs. We'll hook this up and check it before we install it. All right, well, I got everything set up, but it is getting quite warm in here, so we're gonna go ahead and leave that open. At worst case, you're probably gonna hear some of the insects and stuff outside, but I'll just call that ambiance and grab my toolkit. First thing we wanna do is test that servo. First thing I'm gonna grab is my little servo testing unit here. We'll go ahead and pull this out. All its cheap $3 glory. Just grab any of my LiPos and I can plug this plug directly into the voltage right there. And we got power. This is manual mode, neutral, and auto. So we'll throw it on neutral, plug our servo in. There we go. And that should be in neutral. That looks fine. Pop that on there. And you can see the auto cycle mode. Looks like it's doing really good. So that's a perfectly good servo, $3 replacement, just toss it in. This is better than the servos that came in the plane. They weren't Metal Gear. And this is from Hobby King, which I believe most of their stuff is Chinese anyway. So very, very possible that I'm just replacing a cheap plastic Chinese servo with a nice Metal Gear plastic Chinese servo. Let's go ahead and put it on neutral. Let's match the angle here. Now I'll go ahead and drive this screw in if I can get it started properly. There we go. There we go. Okay. And when we power the plane, I'll double check to make sure that that's in neutral position, but it should be. It's really close because the aileron should be almost perfect alignment with the wing, but just a little bit of up. So we've got a good servo. Let's go ahead to the actual wing and start getting that bad servo out of there. So the nice thing is, since I've had to replace these at least once, maybe more than that, I know exactly how they're secured. I know how to pop them out, and I know how to put the new ones in. So easy enough process. Let's go ahead and start that, huh? So I'm gonna pop this clevis off. We're gonna go ahead and remove it like that. I know that this is in the second hole here, second hole in. And so we can actually take our current replacement and I can dig out this hole just a little bit so that we widen it for that servo wire to go through there. Now I could pop this out, remembering it comes in from the back, pop it in the new servo. All right, and the servo wire pops in right like that. So there we go. Now we need to remove this to make room for the new one. I'm gonna cut around all this packaging tape that I used last time. And the reason is I would like to try to save the paint on this model. If I pull this packing tape up, I feel confident it's just gonna rip the color off of this. So we're gonna try to do it just like this. Now the servo's no good, so I should just be able to cut here, not have to worry about that wire, just like that. Yeah, let's see if we can get some of this tape out of our way without peeling up the stuff on the wing. There we go. Oh wow. Boy, I cut that perfectly, didn't I? Now this is harder. I used Uhu-Por underneath this, and that's a pretty aggressive glue for using on foam. It's a contact adhesive. And it's pretty darn strong, and I don't have a lot of experience with it yet, but I know that's probably going to make this way more difficult than it had to be. The last time I pretty much just used a screwdriver to do this. All right, let's see if I can wedge a screwdriver under here. Oh, yeah, see it's pulling the foam from the other side up. with it. I want to give you a better idea of what's going on. So when I'm pulling on the servo underneath, you can see the foam is deforming and wants to go with the servo. The problem with cutting it free from the glue is trying to get my knife down there to do it and not shoot through and stab my hand on the other side here. So, boy, I'm just not getting the angle I want, am I? Kind of still want to just see if I can wedge this in and move it around a little bit. I mean, if I mess up the foam, I can just rebuild some of that. I just don't really want to mess up the foam on the top. Maybe if I give myself a little recess here, I could always try to glue that back in later. Ooh, I think that worked. Because I got the screwdriver very far down in there. And I'm keeping my other hand on the foam underneath to make sure I'm not just ripping it out. And it seems to be holding just fine on the underside while I'm doing this. All right. Whew. That is some really, really awesome glue. All right, so this is the bad aileron right here. So what I need to do is get that out of here. And I think the easiest way to do that is gonna be like this. Ta-da! Now we're gonna have to feed the other servo back through that tiny, tiny little hole there. It's right underneath here. You can kind of see it on the camera. And I'll have to get out my medical implements to do that. Okay, I've got an important tip and a clarification. These are called hemostats. They can reach far inside things, right? And they can lock. If they lock, they won't just open up. So you can clamp things in this to hold while you're soldering or whatever you need to do, and you'll have two free hands to work with. And they're great, but they have one big drawback. They'll fit the whole way down in here, but then you can't open them up. They'll fit down to about that far, completely open, and then the further you push it down, the more closed it gets. That's fine if you're not reaching too far into something. However, I have a better tool. This is called an alligator forceps. And if you pay attention to the end, only the end opens up. So this, you can stick the whole way down in there and still open and close your little mouth. But these don't lock, and that's okay. For what we're doing, we don't need it. That's got a good 2.5, 3-inch reach on there. This one has got a far longer reach. And this one has got a crazy reach. You still just have the little alligator mouth at the end. This is perfect for getting the whole way down in here and grabbing something and pulling it back out. Hemostats, fairly cheap, probably $2 to $5 for a pair. Alligator forceps, little more expensive. I got this 3-pack on Amazon for about $28. I have used this so many times and it gets into far deeper areas than the hemostats do. Definitely worth a buy. I put a product link down below, but this is ridiculous and I don't do product links, so. All right, so we've got our brand new servo. Now let me show you why it's handy to not just have the super long one. I can't get this to feed through there properly. It wants to go too far down because the handle is just too high. And even the mid-size one is a little too long for this. So I'm going to fit the little guys in here and it's just about perfect. So let's get that wedged in there. And again, I can still open and close them. You can see my little alligator clip right there. Open our alligator mouth, and with any luck, I can grab onto this with dear life and just pull it back through. Ta-da! There, we got our aileron servo through. Now before I go any further, that could have done some damage, so we're gonna go ahead and reconnect to the servo tester real quick because this only takes 10 seconds. And we're gonna make sure that that's still running properly. Servo's doing great. So I'm going to go ahead and reapply my pour here. Go ahead and just give myself a coating. And I cut it away once. So if we have this same problem happen again, it seems like it's very possible to fix it again. Put some on the back side of the servo as well. Even on the little wings and little round parts. So as the directions state, we're gonna give that about 10 minutes and that should be dry to the touch. And then we're gonna go ahead and push the two together because this is a contact cement, and we'll give it a good amount of pressure and let it set. And there is 10 minutes. So in the 2 times I've used this glue before, I've found a very scientific method to figure out if it's ready for the next step. Just touch it a bit. It's not really wet, just a little tacky. We'll just grab this, pull it through a little bit more, and being contact cement, which I'm pretty new to, you simply have to line it up to where you want it. You're gonna push it in and give it as much pressure as you can without destroying the stuff that it's connected to. Since we put some glue on the bottom, we'll give it some down pressure that way. In pressure on the 2 sides, because I did put some glue on the wings there. And there we go. Now, I put these in like this the last time, and as you could see when we tore it apart, plenty strong enough. Now we can just feed our servo wire back in through the slot, and we'll flip it over, pull our servo wire in a little bit more, connect the extension like so. Go ahead and reattach our servo horn to our clevis. Next, we're going to take some of our very expensive specialized Scotch shipping packaging tape that's meant specifically for servo wires and servos. Go ahead and put a piece over the servo. We'll go ahead and put a piece over the servo wire, like so, and smooth it out properly. We'll go ahead and attach the battery. There's no prop on here at the moment, so there's nothing that can really hurt us. And you can already see the battery dance is having everything move around. Now this is definitely too far up. Since I want this to come up, I want this to be in further so that this arm is shorter. So I just really need to twist this in several turns, put it on here, and then I'm going to compare it to the other side and make sure that they're even. And that should do it. I don't know if you can see it as good as I can on the camera, but it looks like this one needs to go just one little bit further to be even with this guy. Okay, perfect. They're both just a little up. We got the servo switched out, we got it adjusted, and it seems to be working just fine with the receiver and the battery and everything. The next thing I have to take care of is, of course, the brake in the wing right there. So I've got a couple of choices. If I use super glue, it usually dries pretty brittle, and if I crash this again, it's not going to be great for it. We could use pour. I've used it in similar situations before. It does work pretty well. It's fairly thick, so it fills gaps fairly well. Or I could use hot glue. So I need to make a decision on which one I want to do here. Both the pour and the hot glue might be hard to get in there, but I think between the two, the pour is going to be a little more elastic once it gets in there. And I think that the applicator, being a little smaller than my glue gun, is it? Yeah, I can maybe, you know, drive it in from the bottom and squeeze until we can see some come out through the top. Then we clean it up, we let it cure overnight, and this should be ready to fly again tomorrow, and we're re-maiden it at the field. So this really isn't rocket surgery. We're just gonna See if we can't jam it in there. And then we're gonna release hell. Just like that. And I can feel it coming through on the other side. Let's go ahead and clean up this side. Flip it. You can see right there, it's wet where it started to come through. I'm just gonna go ahead and smear that along that edge. Perfect. Now we'll cap it up so I don't lose all my uhu pour. And this is pretty much ready. We're gonna go ahead and put the tools away, clean up the shop for the night, and then let this set all night. Full 24 hours and this will be 100% cured. It's somewhat cured within an hour. We're gonna give it about 8 hours between now and when I'm gonna fly it. Actually about 9 hours, so even better. And that should be perfectly fine for tomorrow. Time for the re-maiden. Since the tail wheel does not move with the plane, I like to put it down a little bit to the right. When I start going forward, it'll go a little to the left until I get enough velocity for the rudder to actually matter. Test all my systems. Right, left, up, down, right, left. Throttle, throttle cut. There we go. Button her up. Let's get her in the air. Throttle cut off. Where's the sun? Okay. Whew, that was a lot of trim. Go for a slower pass. Not super slow. Now I need a little more up elevator. Maybe a little more. I'm still coming down a bit. I had it tuned in perfectly the last couple times. I crashed it on my fault. It wasn't anything to do with the plane. See, I can get it dialed in. My trims are pretty good now.
For such a small airplane, it seems pretty solid.
Oh, it's so nice. Once you get it trimmed and everything, once you get it off the ground, it flies really nicely. I feel bad that Min's just does not want to fly. Min? He flew his earlier, but every time he flies his, he's had a problem with it. I got one of these from a swap meet years ago. It was the red one, and they re-released it just like I think last year, and I got one. I got one then because I really loved the red one. Climbs really well too. Look at that.
That's still like, you know, thing went up like a, you know.
Yeah.
Rocket because it was.
Well, I do have the rocket igniter. I just haven't installed it yet.
How does it roll?
If I get a lot of flight out of this, eventually I might open up the ailerons to full travel, but that's like, I think 85%. Whoosh. Let me go over the runway. I'll do a fast pass. You can hear it echoing off of all the dang trees. All right, I'm gonna come around, do one full loop, and then we're gonna, okay, wind. Honestly, this could land either direction right now, but I'm gonna go.
Right now you're going downwind.
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn around and see if I can't land it upwind. Coming in right to left. Belly landing, obviously. I like this little plane. Throttle cuts on. This little thing is so fun to fly.